Hi, it's Karen from Liongate Farm, and today I am going to teach you how to make these cute, whimsical little starfish. It's going to be the first in my Under the Sea series. Okay, today I'm going to teach you how to make this cute little seahorse. It's totally got a wire tail, wire everything, so you can make them go however you want. Once they're all formed and done. Got little cute little eyes. We're going to use core wool, your basic core wool. I'm going to make a purple one today with pink spots. And then I'm going to use a bunch of just random blue-faced luster locks. I have a tiny bit of black. And then I have a little bit of white. And I'll get going here in just a second. Now I want to show you the template that I use. All right, so this is my template for my wire. All right, we're going to use one 14.5-inch wire. I'm using 16 gauge. And we're going to bend that wire following this template. I'm trying to figure out how to make you guys a downloadable PDF template on my website. I will probably try and figure that out. Now you're just going to follow. This wire is a little bit longer than 14.5 inches, obviously. So you have, it kind of looks like that when you first bend it. And then you have another 5-inch wire. And you are going to bend. Bring it around. Got a little loopy there. And then you're going to bring it down. And you're going to just wrap this little end around here. Now, there's a couple ways that you can secure this. You can just wing it, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can use floral tape and tape these two joints, and then you know it's not gonna move at all. And that's how we're gonna start. To make his little nose, this little nose, to ensure we get a nice round nose, we're gonna take this wire, and I have a little fat skewer here. Pencil works. Just make that little round hole. And then you're going to bend it up. So we want that straight. Like I said, this wire gets a little bit wily. All right, what did I do here? See, look, even me has issues now and then. Hold on, I need to unwrap that. What happened is I bent this wire too many times. Wrap it back on. Okay. Don't worry about the tail. Now, if you notice, I have a couple color combinations here. This one, I started with navy and a darker blue and then a lighter blue to the lightest blue. All right, and that one. This one, I did solid green, like a solid lemon lime green with polka dots. This one I did a little different. Obviously it's a girl. She's white sparkle, but then I did her belly a little bit different. I just added on this pink and I made these lines. So there's a couple, there's millions of colors of these little seahorses, and you can go on Google and just see what color you like. But like I said, today we're making a purple one, and we're going to start with some core wool. And the first thing I'm going to do is secure those joints. So I'm going to start moving that out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to go around. I went inside the wire and around and around. Okay, and I'm going to stab that just a little bit on the top and the bottom of the joint. And then I'm going to just wrap. Seahorses are kind of flat. They're kind of flat. If I say starfish instead of seahorse, just ignore me, because we're going to do starfish next week. And it's kind of in my brain right now. All right, so we got these little joints secure. And we kind of have a little flat belly going on. Little flat belly. Let's stab this a little bit more. Remember, felting is not a race. You work at your own pace. That's the magic of felting. And these guys take a bit. It's not a quick project. Now, it depends on how skinny you want the end of your tail. I am going to wrap the end of the tail in some purple. So I took off a little piece and I'm going to split it because I don't want the end of the tail to be fat. So I'm going to start about right there. And I'm going to pull it tight. Pull it tight on that tail. And then because I don't like the wires to show through, I like to make a little bend. Bend it back up. If you have your pliers, you can squeeze it nice and tight. You don't have to. And then wrap around so you don't see that wire anymore. And we're going to head back up towards our core wool. That way the tail stays nice and thin. Just keep wrapping nice and thin until you run out of fiber, and then stab it in to secure it. So that will be our tail eventually. And you can kind of see. Don't worry about it yet though. All right, now, still don't like where that's at. At the end, I might show you another armature with the floral tape so that it's not as wily as this guy is. Added another layer, make it a little fatter. Remember, you have a wire in there. You can break your needle if you stab the wire. And add another piece. So the way this starfish goes is he graduates down to the tail. Skinny. You can see where we're at. And remember, again, the tighter you wrap, the less you have to felt. Periodically flip it over so you're felting from both sides. That was too much fiber. I'm going to draft this out a little bit. So I'm down in my purple. Don't worry about the white going over the purple. That will solidify it. But you see how it's graduating down at an angle. Got a little lump there I don't like. Because I like to see what's happening to my piece. These are pretty firmly felted, so I'm going to keep working them. to switch to my double one. You know, this tool will hold 3 needles. I never use it with 3. I only use it with the 2 needles. I have 238 stars in there. So now we have a basic little body on here. We'll make him fatter in just a minute because he's only fat right here in the middle. So now I'm going to show you how to do the head. Now the head's a little persnickety because we want to get it just right. We want to get this nose right. I'm going to start here and I'm going to just do a basic wrap on the head. So let's just get this wire covered. Remember to wrap flat. So if you let your fiber go every time, keeps it nice and flat. Don't let it twist up. All right, so we have that covered. It's a tiny little securing felt. So remember we have this little nose hole here. So now let's get a wrap on the head. We're going to do a figure 8, kind of, because we want to keep that head flat right now. We're just filling in that little half circle. We're going to take some more. We're going to do that again. I'm going to draft this out a little. Drafting means pulling it so that your fibers are just a little bit thinner. And you know you've drafted too far if it comes off. That's our fiber length. So we went down, over. We're going to come under, over, under, over, doing the little figure 8, building his head up. So if you look at our finished product here, you can see that we're getting towards, we have more to go here. We have to fill in that. And always remember, your core wool figure is going to be skinnier than your finished figure. So, oh my gosh, everything's sticking to my fingers. It's gardening season, so my hands are kind of rough. All right, so I took my skewer. Sorry, I went too fast for you guys. All right, I took my skewer and I'm wrapping super tight. I'm just making a little tube. Just a little tube. And then I'm going to spin it because that kind of felt it. And I'm going to pull it off. And I'm going to put it right here. I'm all about making shapes to make life easier for felting. And I'm going to attach it to the top of his head. And it's going to fill in our little wire space here. So we're going to take our core wool. We're going to wrap it around his nose. This is a little bit. Get in there. Notice I went past the wire because I'm going to go through, kind of wrap it around that wire. Be really careful you don't poke yourself here, because you will, because I do. If you can, work on your felting pad. Again, you know I can't look down very well, so it's easier for me to work in the air. So just kind of gently start to poke that in. Remember, you got wire in there. You can hear me hitting the wire. So because I wrapped that tight, you can really hear it felting good. And then we're going to go back up in here. We'll go over that with color. Okay, so now we're going to build up his head. I want you to make some little pillows. Just 2 little pillows. Those don't have to be tight. And these are going to be his cheeks. One for the other side. Just a little rectangle that you can stab on. That looks pretty dumb, doesn't he? So now we're going to. That always looks so weird before you get them where they're supposed to be. Now we're going to take that piece. We're just going to, it's like he's been to the dentist. We're going to wrap up those cheeks. Kind of go down his neck a little bit. Then we're going to start to felt that shape of that head. Like I said, look at pictures of starfish online. Just Google starfish, hit images. There's millions of them. There's all different kinds. Some of them really, I said starfish again. So, Google pictures of seahorses. There's all different kinds. How many times have I said starfish today? I don't know. Bend the wire in his nose to get it, start getting the shape of the head that you want. It's amazing how fast they can come together. Look at it from the front view too, to make sure it's even. Once you get, so that both cheeks are even. By now the head should be getting pretty firm. But again, it's not a race. So you can see both cheeks are getting pretty even. And it will keep firming up as we add the color to it. Okay, so now let's finish building up the body. A little bit more on the neck here. Again, the tighter you wrap, the less you have to felt. You don't want his neck to be fatter than his head. So when you're looking at it from the back, don't add so much fiber that this neck here is fatter than his cheeks. They should be, cheeks should stick out just a little bit more or be the same. So now we're going to build up his little belly. Just like on the head, I made some little pillows. I'm going to put a pillow here. Just a little rectangle that I'm poking on. Then I'm going to put one on the other side. Keep them kind of even. Okay, so now I'm going to take some core wool. This core wool that I have here is more like a batting. I am going to wrap the belly. You can see he's getting fat out front. This is where we want him to have a little belly out here. I need another piece. I'm drafting this out to make it a little bit thinner. And remember, it's going to graduate down and get a little bit smaller in the tail area. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to sit and, because basically we have the body here, except it's not smooth. You know, it's not in the exact space, but I'm going to sit and I'm going to felt this all nice and smooth. So I will come back here in a minute and tell you how long it took me.
Action.
Okay, I've been poking on this thing for about half an hour. So the key to a really nice smooth seahorse is going to be how much you poke your core wool. Now, right here at his neck, I want to start to define where its head's going to be. So you want to put in a little curve right here. You know, that'll be his little neck. We're going to come around, do the same thing on this side. Just define his head. Again, remember, it's not a race. It took me 30 minutes. It could take you an hour. It could take you 2 hours. Key is just to keep poking until you get a really nice product. So it's nice and smooth. Okay, so I know where his head's going to be. So you should have a nice little round ball with a little nose here. So you can see that this guy is about the same exact size as that guy. This one's a little bigger because we haven't added the color. Now see how this still looks fat? This will flatten out as we add the color, which is what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to start down at the tail. You can start wherever you want, and I'm just going to flat wrap up the body. Goal here is to cover all your white. I secured that. So I'm going to do the same thing I did. I'm going to keep wrapping all the way up the body, and then I'll stop and I will poke it all in nice and flat. I like to get it all wrapped first. I've got a little white spot right there. Keep wrapping. Now, if you were going to make the belly, like on this one, you wouldn't have to wrap all the way around the front because you'd put a different color in the front. This step goes pretty quick. So just keep wrapping until you get this whole dude covered. I'm going to go up here and show you how to do the nose. Start up at the head. Wrap it tight. Now, I like the end of my seahorse noses to fan out a little bit, like a trumpet. So I'm probably going to add a little extra here. But notice I'm adding it in small strips because this is just a small area. So just right here at the end, I'm going to add just an extra amount to make it wider. There's a little piece of farm in there. Takes about a half an ounce to cover the whole seahorse in color. So once we get it all covered, I'll come back and show you how to add all his details. The eyes are a little bit persnickety. Okay, I've been working on this guy for about 20 minutes. I wrapped him in his purple, and I've been stebbing it so it's nice and tight and smooth. I want it pretty firm for when I put on my polka dots. But first, we're going to do some eyes. So, first, you need a little bit of white of your choice. Mine has a little bit of sparkle in it, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to pull off a little piece. And you kind of want to put the eye right about there, and I'll measure that. It's just right after, so almost right at the base of the neck up. We're going to form like a little eyeball. get any strays. Felt it in pretty good because we're going to add some black to it. Now, nifty little trick that you can do is I want to know where the eye is going to be on the other side. So if you run your needle all the way through, you kind of have an idea of where that eye goes. Another little piece of white. Notice I'm just starting with a blob and I'm gathering it up. You want to try and make them the same size. Look at it from the front. They're even. Got a nice long fiber there. Get out there. Let's get this all felted in. You want to take your time on the eyes. They're what gives it its personality. So now I'm going to take a tiny bit of black here and make a smaller ball and put it in the center of the white. So we have one eyeball. Try not to poke the black all the way through his head because it'll show on the other side. Especially if you got a light colored seahorse going on here. All right, so we have his eyeballs. So I'm going to use a dark blue for his eyelids. I'm going to tear off 2 little pieces. And I'm just going to make a little line and fold it. Then I'm going to felt along this edge. I'm leaving all this fringe up here. Because what I'm looking for is a nice little line without any stray fibers. And then I'm going to place it. We're going to work this with our needle. I like it to come out about 1/8 of an inch past his eye. And then kind of like a cat eye. So right now it looks like a mean guy. We're going to tuck him in. And then the back's going to go up a little. So let's just work this into how the eyelid shape that we want. It's a half moon. If you want to build the half moon on your felting pad and put it on, you can. Get all my stray hairs tucked in. Now it's too fat for me right here. Now, I'm going to go over here to my pile I think I'm going to pick out a little tiny bit of blue fibers, twist them up, because I want my eye to show up. So I'm going to give him some blue eyeliner. You know, it looks like I'm going to make the eye disappear, but I'm not. Poking it up under the eyelid. How you put their eyelids, you know, they could be mad, sad, sleepy, depends on the expression that you get. And then I like to put a color around here. Let me decide. I think I am going to use the pink that we're going to make our dots with. Again, just a tiny bit of fiber. I'm saving that for the other eye. Roll it. So when you do this, you want to poke down here around the eye. Now, if your head is not felted firm enough, the eye will disappear into his head because we're felting a lot. And then the last thing to do on one side, you need a tiny little white ball. And you're going to put it up here at the 2 o'clock position. This you want to almost disappear. Just a little highlight. You might find it easier to work with a 40 spiral needle for these details because it's a smaller needle. All right, so next we're going to make the other eye look the same. That's the trick. I'm going to look at this from the top. It needs to be felted a little bit more. They're a little bit fussy. And there's that one eye. So again, let's do another one. I'm gonna take my blue, I'm gonna felt the line. Flip it over. Again, my goal here was just to get a nice line to put over his eye. So you're going to need to refer to the other side. Again, a good way to do that is to run your needle through. You can see it's going to end right there. the back. Should end right there. Felting them down into his head. I keep referring to the front to see if his eyes look the same. We're getting there. It's going to be a bit of an optical illusion at first because you have the other colors on the eye over there already. You can see his head is getting nice and thin in the back. Okay, let's add our blue. You know, as you felt along, you're going to discover you have a dominant eye and a non-dominant eye. Like one always comes out better than the other. Doesn't matter. Taking my blue eyeliner. This Seahorse is from the 80s. He likes blue. As you learn which eye is easier for you to do, I recommend doing the harder one first, which to me is always the left side, which is what I did first. That side looks bigger. Let me get the pink on. I might have to add some more blue. Yep, I have to add a little tiny bit more blue to the front of this eyelid. Remember, you can always add, but you can't take away. Remember, we poke under here, create a little depth for this eye. That's way too much white. Just a little bit. So on this eye, it's at the 11 o'clock in the back. And now we're going to make him look happy. So he needs to be happy. He doesn't look very happy, right? So he's going to need a smile. And this is like right at the edge of the eye. You're going to come under, poke it in. We need a devious seahorse. take a little piece of your black, add it into this line you just poked in here. I didn't get enough. Fibers with the, again with the black, is a littler amount is better. You can always add. You don't want it super fat. You just want a nice little line in there. Give him a little dimple. Smooth this out if it got misshapen from squeezing his head. Now, I always like the end of the nose to be the color of the eyelid. So, I'm going to put some blue in here. Personal preference, you can put whatever color you want, or none. Just have a little fat spot there. Can always keep working this. So he's almost done. Now we just need to dress him up. We are going to use the pink and we're going to put on some dots. So you can do 2 colors of dots. They start small, they get big, they go small, medium. So we could do 2 colors. We might. Let me see how I feel about this. All right, let's do pink. I want to do pink. So I just take a little piece of fiber and make it into a dot by gathering it with my needle. And then you want to make sure that you got the same size on the opposite side. And this is where if you were going to do the belly, like I did on this one, you'd add a different color and you'd sculpt in these lines. I suppose you could do the belly and dots. I liked it without dots. But if you did a contrast color for the belly, that's where you would put in the lines. All right, next dot. So move out a little bit towards the center because you want it to be in an arc going along this belly. Pretty subjective what kind of dots you want. Big dots, little dots. I'm leaving them a little bit hairy right now. I'm just going to get them all on here. I'm going to start getting smaller. If you want, you can go all the way down the tail, but I usually stop about right here. So now I need to make sure I have the same dots on the other side. Easiest way to do it is to hold it so you can see. Doesn't take a lot of fiber to make a dot. Again, I'm just placing. These are by no means felted in yet. One little one, and then we're going to see what other color I want to do before I get them all cleaned up. So, it might be kind of cool to do this turquoise color. Now, this is locks. This is not just your roving. This is just regular locks. And if you pull them apart, they become loose enough to felt. So we can do one right here. We'll put one right there, and we'll just go down his back. The reason I picked these colors is because these colors are actually mixed in that purple that I used for his body. So it's a good contrast. Good accent colors. I'll do one more tiny one. So let me get this side all felted in, and then I'll go do the other side. So just keep working these dots around, kind of make a little, if you felt around them, you'll make them stand out a little bit. The details that make your felted piece stand out. The more time you take with them, the better it will look. I think I learned how to make dots really well making this chameleon kit that had 80 million dots on it. So now I've felt in the blue ones. Now they're locks, so they're going to felt in a little bit different. You're going to actually see the texture of the curls. Again, if your seahorse is not well felted, these will disappear into the body. And you may need to go back and felt a little bit more on the body. See, he's a little bit soft right here. But by felting around the outside of the lock, you're gonna, or of the dot, you're gonna make it stand up, so that it really shows up good. I have a little soft spot here. I have to felt this a little bit more. Be careful, there's a wire in here. You probably can hear me hitting it. If you hit it too hard, you'll break your needle. Okay, now I'm going to go add the blue and felt these in on the other side. Same way we did the front. I'm going to add them looking at the back so that they're symmetrical. There's one right there. Two more. Oops, I got that one in the wrong place, so I'm going to move it up. Devil's in the details. Okay, let's get these all felted, and then we'll come back and put on his fins. Okay, we got all the dots on. Now we're going to give him his little fins. You know, and they're all, you know, some seahorses have it all sticking out all over. I just like to put it on the top of their head and their little of their back. You can put it wherever you want, though. And I'm going to use some contrasting little locks. I'm going to pull these apart a little bit. This guy's a little bit felted. Sometimes they're like that. And I want them pretty small. So I'm making a little stack. And we're going to use a bunch of different colors. We'll do some pink. I'm making a little line here. Some blue. How about a little purple? These come from my own sheep, and I dye them. These are little lamb locks. You can tell because they're so short. Not suitable for spinning, but fantastic for needle felting. Let's do a little purple. Do a little bit of this aqua. Actually, this color is called Frozen. It's one of my favorite colors to dye. Even a little yellow. Let's put a little yellow in there. Now, see, this is a super long lock, so I'm going to just bend it in half. Lay it in my pile. This is going to be the top of his head. It's a little one. I'm going to put this down his back. How about a little bit of green? You can use whatever colors you want. You can use all one color. So, since I have this little stack, I'm going to draw a line down the middle of it. This little stack, just to hold it together. I'm going to pick it up. And I'm going to flip it over, actually, because I want all those colors on the outside. And as to placement, it usually goes like right about there. We're going to just do it like this. Remember where that line was, and just stab this in there. Now this is fluffy. That's okay. I'm going to gather that up. Now I'm going to add a little bit more. I have like this little green. Maybe a little dark purple. This color is called Espresso Bean. So we have all these little colors in his little fin. And then I like to scoop them up. Felt along the base here on both sides. To make sure they're attached. And then I like to kind of comb them out a little bit. So we're getting a little rainbow fin here. We'll comb out this side. Don't comb too hard with your needle because you can break it. Give a little rainbow fin. Stab up in the locks and it'll make it stand up some more. If you think it's not big enough, you can always add some more, but I like it just little. Where'd my other stack go? There it is. So this is the little pile I want to put on his head. I'm just going to take those. Bring them up here. If you want to leave them like that, you could, but I like them to stand up. And I like to use funky colors in their fins, just to give them a little bit of wild look. Just like on the other one, though. Felt up in there so they'll stand up. Make sure they're attached to the head. Okay, so you got his little fin on. You got them all poked in there. And then you got to get him positioned just how you would want him. Remember, they can move all over the place. You can make his tail go back. You can make it go forward. Just get them how you want them. If you want to hang them, you're gonna want to put your fishing line right behind that fin on his head, like right behind the eye. If you want to make it a smaller seahorse, so this guy ends up being about 9 inches tall by 4 inches wide by 2. So just cut the measurements in half. If you want it half the size, you do a 7-inch wire and a 2.5-inch wire. Same kind of thing. Anyways, so this is our seahorse for the week. This cute little fin. He's going to join his buddies. This guy's skinny. I really like the belly on this one. Oh, look, it's his girlfriend. So we got these 2 little seahorses. Next week, we're going to make starfish. This isn't quite done. It's going to have some glitzy beads and things on it. I'm going to teach you how to make the starfish, which is why I kept saying starfish at the beginning. So join us next week and continue our under the sea extravaganza.